Rim.
His name's Phill.
And his name is Tim.
And this is Tim and Phill Talk About Games.
A podcast where Tim and myself get together and talk about games we have recently played, as well as discuss topics in the world of gaming.
This week we're going back to our roots and reviewing a game. And
Whoa.
what better game than the nostalgia-inducing Pillars of Eternity, a recently released Kickstarter CRPG from Obsidian Entertainment.
We'll walk through what we love about this game and what it's doing right, not only to scratch the nostalgia itch, but to introduce a new generation to the Infinity Engine playstyle. Yeah, so we are back. It has been quite a while.
Been a busy couple of months, I
yeah,
guess.
months. It's probably only been about 3 weeks since we recorded an episode. But what a busy 3 weeks.
Feels longer.
Feels a lot longer. If anyone's interested in excuses, my internet disappeared for about a week and a half to 2 weeks, and it took that long to get it resolved. And then Tim came down with, I think, a really crazy sickness.
Horrific. I think it was the turtle flu.
What have you been doing to those turtles, Tim?
Well, that's the question.
Yeah, exactly. But we are back, and we decided to ease ourselves back into the whole recording routine. We would go back to something we haven't done for a while, which is actually just reviewing a game, because we both played a lot of the one that we're going to be talking about, Pillars of Eternity. It's a really great game. Really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed playing it over the last few months. Few months? Few months.
Yeah.
It's been out for a while, hasn't it?
I don't know how to judge time anymore. I don't know what happened, but my ability to actually measure things larger than maybe 20 minutes it's gone. I don't know where it's gone or why I'm not capable of it anymore. People are like, oh yeah. So, like last week when we were doing this, and I'm like, well, that was like almost 4 months ago now. Oh, really? All right.
Yeah.
Well, that time 4 months ago, that was literally yesterday. It was yesterday morning.
Just means you're filling up your life with a lot of stuff and you can't keep track of it all, right?
Sure, let's call it that. Early onset Alzheimer's or
it's probably the other thing.
Dementia.
But before we get on to Pillars of Eternity, we did want to have a quick chat about what we've been playing. I know Tim wanted to talk about a game that he's recently finished playing, which is The Witcher.
Which is The Witcher.
Yep.
So just in time for The Witcher 2 to come out, except not, because
The Witcher
3 in fact comes out in 2 days' time.
Yes.
And so The Witcher 1 this is one of those bizarre things for me, because it's a game that I am an evangelical supporter of.
Yeah.
I always tell people, oh, you should really play The Witcher. It's a fantastic series of games. I always push the books on people as well. I'm like, yeah, he's like the Polish Tolkien.
Yeah.
Andrzej Sapkowski, the author that wrote the books that the game is based on. They're all fantastic, and the game is a phenomenal. Like The Witcher 1 and even The Witcher 2 is both phenomenal games. But the problem with The Witcher 1 is that the beginning and end of the game are phenomenal. The middle of the game is a bit of a grind, and there's one section in particular that is very, very hard to get through just because there's a lot of it. Now, the problem for me was that every time I tried to play the game, something horrible would happen to my computer. So I think the first time I got up to the swamp level, and the swamp is the glut part.
Right.
And then my hard drive died, and I lost my save.
Right.
And then I, bought new computer, the whole thing, and then played it again, got to the swamp, and my GPU caught fire. And then I go, all right, that's kind of ridiculous. So I played it again, and then I got another fragmentation error, whatever, another corruption on somewhere in the computer. So essentially the case was that I think I've played it 11 times, the beginning of this game. And each time I would get roughly to the same spot. And every time I was like, God, this is so freaking annoying.
Maybe that's the challenge. Like
It's just to get
that's
past
the level.
Yeah.
Is to get through this. Like it's a really short section, but they've made it so that it sets fire and destroys parts of your hard
It's really
drives.
not though. It's also really long. So I finally managed to sit down. I was like, all right, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna sit down, like really, roll my sleeves up and just push through it. And I think I spent like 4 days during this horrible flu period, completely focused and engrossed on The Witcher, and finally got to the end of it. And the end has an amazing twist that I totally didn't see coming. Normally I hate when people say, oh, there's a twist, because now you look for the twist. But this it's not even like that. It's a bizarre revelation twist. It's not like something like, oh, and he was the murderer the whole time. It was a sort of thing like things had been hinted at you earlier, and then it was like, it's not even necessarily the truth of it. It's just implied that this could be one possible outcome. And I was like, wow, that's really clever. So yeah, I really appreciated that. Awesome. Now, I have to finish The Witcher 2 in
2 days.
40 hours so that I can play The Witcher 3. So that's been fun.
yeah, for sure. The other, one of the other things that we've been playing quite a bit of, speaking of nostalgia, and this whole episode's kind of about nostalgia, is a little old card game by the name of Magic the Gathering. It's been really interesting. So a while, about probably 2 months or so ago, I don't know, I think it was me, Tim, and another friend of ours, Pat, were talking about, I don't know, just possibly doing a draft of Magic the Gathering, and that draft came and went, and everyone had a really great time. The new format that's come out, the Khans of Tarkir, Dragons of Tarkir, Fate Reforged set, is really interesting. It's got a lot of interesting, like, different mechanics and stuff, and it encourages, like, lots of multicolored play, so a lot of people, like, really enjoyed that part of it. And since then we've been playing a lot of drafts. We've been, just chilling out, playing cards at people's places, that kind of stuff.
Also, this largely came up because some of us were introduced, some of us were reintroduced to the game at PAX Australia.
Yeah, that's true.
The Wizards of the Coast boys come down and put on probably one of the biggest booths that you can get at a PAX, I'm pretty sure, is Wizards. And so, some of our friends had never played it before. I'd only played it probably 2 years prior.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of catalyzed the whole group. So obviously that worked well. That was well spent marketing, guys, at Wizards. Kudos.
GG.
You've certainly made a couple of $1,000s from our friend group. Some more than others.
Yeah, some more than others. But yeah, it's a relatively good way to spend, a night with friends. Everyone buys into a booster box, so it's about $25.
Yeah, for like $25 is a good night out.
Yeah.
That and a couple of beers is fantastic value.
Very, very decent value, and you don't end up with a, massive hangover and someone you've never seen before in your bed.
Wait, that sounds fantastic. What game's that?
Yeah, well, it's I don't know, the syphilis game. I don't know.
Was that at PAX?
It's probably. I think it's called Cards Against Humanity. Yeah, so we've been playing that. Other than that, I haven't been playing that many games, to be honest. Gone through a bit of a dry patch ever since my internet was kind of screwed. I didn't have a lot of reason to sit on my computer other than to specifically play. Like, it's really weird. Like, games in general are kind of incidental. Like, I very rarely will sit down and go, right, I really want to play this game. Yeah. Like, it's just because I'm at my computer, I'm doing things, and then I'm like, oh, I really need a break.
I want to play something.
Yeah, like, it's more like I want to do something that's not what I was just doing on my computer. I want to have a break. I want to play a game. And then I choose from the fucking mountains of games that I have available to me to scratch that itch. So yeah, it was kind of odd, the last, like, actually thinking about, hey, wait, what have I been playing? And I really, it hasn't been a lot, to be honest. So yeah, I guess probably the one thing that we have been playing, both Tim and myself, is the Game Maker game.
Making Games game.
The Making Games game, which has kind of been really good. We did another GM48, which is the 48-hour game jam. We did that with our friends James and Zach. We made like a
Endless Faller?
Endless Faller, yeah, that's right. So you start off as an astronaut, and your ship explodes, and you start falling, and you have to avoid obstacles and enemies and that kind of stuff.
As you cycle through various realms of hell.
Yeah, there's a lot of work.
I think it was actually like some sort of bizarre trip / purgatory. It didn't make a lot of sense, but it's the kind of thing I would expect to see at an art house like movie night.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I enjoyed it. I think the version that we've kind of fixed up, the initial version was just frustratingly hard.
Really impossible
hard
to play.
Yeah, really, really hard. And we fixed it up post Game Jam, and it plays a lot better now, so that's good.
It's actually fun now.
Yeah,
it's actually legitimately fun now.
Yeah, it's actually fun. But yeah, we did a lot of work. Tim did all of the audio work, which came out really, 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 really well. And he's actually gotten a couple of offers from people to have him do their music for their games, which is really, really cool.
Which is nice.
Yeah, and kind of motivating.
Also did all the particle effect systems.
Almost all of them.
Well, except for one.
Both shot. The really cool one.
Yeah. That's the really cool one, was it?
Yes, according to me. Yeah. But yeah, no, that was really good. I'm finding myself spending a lot more time in Game Maker than I am playing games lately, so that's kind of been my shift. And it really
Which
was...
I don't think is a bad thing. I mean,
it's not.
Still productive in a different way.
Yeah.
Funny how we consider the playing of the games to be the productive part, and the making to be the unproductive part. That I guess it counts.
yeah, exactly. No, it's been fun. But yeah, that's...
Anyway, we do have a game to review.
We do. We do have a game to review, so we should probably get onto that. So Pillars of Eternity. What is it? Who's it from? What's it about?
So this is one of those Kickstarter games that sort of... It was one of the ones that was kickstarted a long time ago. And it took a good long while to make, as games do. But it was one of the games that went into development, and then they just kind of went, not silent, but they were very, very quiet during the development process. And I think I actually appreciate that to some extent.
Yeah, they really only ever had updates when there was something to update about.
Yeah.
So it was like when they had whole systems that they had finished and gone, oh, okay, cool, we've finished this entire character creation system. Here, have a look at it. Rather than, hey, we made one update to one bit of art that will be like less than a second of your gameplay.
Yeah. And so, again, because it's a very story-driven game, I think that's the way it should be done. I really appreciate the very open development style of the Cloud Imperium games that are making Star Citizen, because it's information dump every couple of days.
They're very systems based though.
Exactly, it's a sandbox game. It's an online sandbox / pseudo MMO weirdness.
Yeah,
but a game
we have too much money. Let's make everything we want.
A game that's very, very heavily focused on narrative. I think if you talk about it too much, you're not going to want to play the game.
Yeah,
if you watch an author write every chapter of a book, you're not going to then want to read the book, usually, unless it's a really good author. Although, come to think of it, Max...
what was his name? Yeah.
Wow, goodness. Max Brooks? No.
Max... it starts with a V, doesn't it?
It does.
Anyway, he
did it.
Yeah.
He wrote, was it Machine Man that he wrote live? Or
something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't recall exactly.
He's fantastic anyway.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
There was a kind of a silent period, and then it just sort of came out, and it was like,
oh,
yay, I can play this now.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. So the game...
we keep doing it at the same time. Go.
The game is essentially, it's styled on a very old school type of game, which is sort of common called the Infinity Engine style game, because back then, back in 1997, all the games that were like this were made in the Infinity Engine. Yeah, it is super old, but I did look it up beforehand. It was definitely 97. So you're looking at your Baldur's Gate games, your Icewind Dale, that period of BioWare where they were just making these non-stop awesome CRPG, fantastic stories, awesome gameplay experiences. But then when the Infinity Engine got superseded by newer engines, and you had things like the Neverwinter Nights game started to come out, where it was rendered full in 3D models rather than sprites, the style of game started to change quite heavily because you could do more, essentially.
Yeah.
One of the things about the Infinity Engine was it was restricted by its mechanics. And being restricted, it means you had to focus on telling the story in other ways.
Yeah.
Most notably in vast amounts of text.
So much text, oh my god.
So, this was kind of a nice harken back to that. In fact, I actually think, if anything, there's a little bit too much spoken dialogue in Pillars.
Yeah.
Every now and then the spoken dialogue stops me from reading the text on the screen. I don't know if you noticed that, but whenever I start hearing the dialogue, my eyes switch off. I'm like, alright, we're listening now. Listen.
No, actually, I'm the exact opposite. I like, if they're speaking to me, I'll read what they're saying and then kind of just wait for them to finish because I feel rude interrupting, which is so stupid. But yeah, it's a throwback to subtitles. Watching TV and movies in subtitles. You read the subtitles really quickly so that then you can look at the face and see how they're actually like acting out and reacting, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a throwback to that. Whenever someone's speaking in a game, I do not listen. I read their text first and then listen, but it doesn't make sense because there's no cues from their voice. I don't know.
I generally turn off subtitles in games, so I never play with subtitles. No, that's what I'm saying. With a game like this, where they don't even say all the words that are on the screen. There are actually more words on the screen than they physically vocalize.
Yeah, true.
So I guess I'm not used to reading and listening at the same time on a computer game. I mean, with your anime and foreign films, absolutely.
Yeah.
But in a game, it's just, for me, I hear and I'm like, all right, let's hands off the mouse so you don't accidentally shoot someone. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, there's a very bizarre switch off moment as soon as I hear people talking.
Yeah. That's weird.
Also, some of the talky bits are very badly voice acted. There are some shockers in there.
I haven't heard anything too bad. Like, there is
especially
lot
some
of
the
voices.
bit characters. As soon as I hear a character that is really well voice acted, I'm like, oh, they're gonna be a big guy. Like, he's gonna have a lot of text.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah, I don't know. So okay, so we should probably explain what the premise of Pillars is. So, essentially, you're in a world where souls are a thing.
In a world where souls are a thing.
Yeah, where souls are a real kind of magical source of power, and you're traveling. I think your character is initially traveling to a town where the mayor has said that he wants people to come and settle, to like help, and he'll pay
build up the population.
Yeah, and he'll help pay you money or whatever.
And it's a good thing he needs to build up the population because he's killing everyone.
Exactly. And you're on the way to this town, and like a storm, like a kind of a magical soul storm occurs.
A Bierwach.
Yes, a Bierwach. Thank you for knowing all the words to things. Happens, and you essentially get exposed to this storm, and whether it's because of the storm or whether or not you had latent abilities, you become awakened with a capital A, and you can now suddenly see people's souls and communicate with their souls,
or in some cases the lack thereof.
So and in this world, souls travel around. Like, you're reincarnated into different bodies. The soul retains its essence, so you can see people's past lives, or you can see
almost as if there are a fixed number of souls.
Yeah, it's
in
weird.
The universe.
Yeah,
and so each time someone dies, that soul goes back into the pool, and when a new person is born, the next soul comes out.
Yeah, and so this throws you into a bit of a spin because you have no real idea what's going on. You're trying to figure out why you can see these things about people. And essentially that throws you down the path. Obviously, we don't want to spoil too much because this is a very story and world-built type of game. So we're going to...
Although I don't think it's spoiling too much to say that in the first town that you go, the reason the mayor is killing everyone is because people are being born without souls.
Yes.
So something's wrong with the universal soul machine.
Yeah, exactly. The crazy Rube Goldberg soul wheel.
Whatever it is. I'm not actually that far through now to know what the cause of things are. So
no, exactly. Because there's so much to do.
It is a really big game.
It is very large. I mean, I've spent probably close to 15 hours, and I'm only scratching the surface of the second village, like second town, like the main Defiance Bay, which is like kind of the first main large town that you get to.
Really?
I think so.
So I only just entered Defiance Bay, and I'm
right.
31 hours in.
Oh no, you went east though, didn't you? You went east through the forest, is that right?
Yes.
And you've been doing some of the quests underneath the stronghold, is that right?
Yes, yeah, I have, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I completely skipped the stronghold because I kind of... We'll get to this in a second, but yeah. what we're trying to say is that it's possible to spend a lot of time not doing the main quest.
Absolutely.
Not finding out about what's going on in the
Very
world.
Elder Scrolls in that respect.
Exactly. Like, you can, half the people that you wander into in towns will have little quests for you to do, and this is the thing that I really, really love about this game so far. I don't know how it gets towards the end of the game, but every quest that I've done so far, and I've done, I don't know, probably 20 or 30 of them. Every quest that I've done that involves, talking to people, running an errand for somebody, like, every single one is grey as hell. There's no black and white decisions to be made in this game.
There are some fantastic choices in terms of quest design.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is that it's never... Choices are good, and BioWare and all those guys have done a lot of games that require you to make choices. But the choices are usually either set this puppy on fire and kick it off a cliff, and that's like the evil response, or give it to a home and feed it forever, and
set up a college fund.
Yeah, exactly. Encourage it to become president.
To the puppy's superannuation.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the good, the good version of the response. This one, it's like, people are assholes. Choose the best way you think to deal with people who are assholes.
Which is funny for me because that's very similar to the way The Witcher is also set out.
Right.
The whole point of the Witcher games is that you're neutral, you're not good or bad. Yeah. And so when people say, oh, there are these two options, quite often, if you work a little bit harder, there's a third option.
Yeah.
And that third option is, you're all a bag of dicks. I'm not getting into your bullshit.
Yeah.
I did my job, pay me.
Yeah, exactly. So one thing I really do respect about the game so far is that they're not falling into those really easy tropes that a lot of games, like, from Star Wars to Mass Effect
absolutely
to, Skyrim,
especially the Star Wars games. My goodness, the Knights of the Old Republic games had some really heavily binary choices. I mean, that was one of the games that had the very ridiculous alternatives.
But that was kind of serving a gameplay mechanic. Like, you either went down the dark side or the light side to,
I guess.
So that kind of made sense mechanically, but it wasn't very satisfying story-wise. Whereas this, I don't think there is actually a paragon system. Like, I don't think it doesn't have any effect on you.
The funny thing is, it's not a paragon or renegade system like in Mass Effect, or a good or bad system. I don't know if you've checked your character sheet very carefully, but there's like an 8 or 9 axes grid.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I've missed this.
Yeah, there's a little thing on the side, on the top right-hand side, that you'll get, and it will say that you're like +2 witty, or +4 sarcastic, or +2...
Really? Is that in this? Not Divinity?
No, it's in this as well.
Oh, okay, right.
And based on, like, whether or not you have accrued enough points based on your decisions in, like, witty or truthful or whatever, they will unlock dialogue options and even some quests later on. Some people are like, I don't think you'd be wanting to get your hands in this because you're not, you're not this enough, or, whatever.
Yeah.
But it was really interesting because I was like, oh, I thought it was a binary thing, so I was being careful to not spend too much of my time choosing contradictory options.
Oh, okay, sure.
But then I noticed that I had like 3 points in truthful and 2 points in liar. Like,
right.
Apparently I'm known as being both. I'm just really unpredictable.
Yeah, well, I mean, I suppose I'll have to look into that a bit more, but it never seems like you are being forced to be either...
No, absolutely not. And which is good, because there are some situations in the game where it says, do this thing, and you're like, oh, I'll do the good thing.
Yeah.
And then you're halfway through doing the good thing, and you're like, that's not the good thing.
Yeah. That's the thing, is the quests are never just go do this thing, come back, resolve the quest. It's more like, go do this thing, learn a bit more information about why you're doing this thing, go do another thing, find out that the thing that you got asked to do in the first place is actually a horrible, horrible thing, and the people who asked you to do it is horrible. Go back to them, find out a reason, interrogate them, and find out that actually the reason they told you to do this horrible thing was because more other horrible things were happening. There's a constant uncovering of more, there's always more to the story that you can uncover until you get all of the facts, and then you make your decision. And that's why it is so great. I'm sure that, if you just took each quest face value and just completed them straight away and didn't investigate and didn't kind of poke and prod at it, you probably could get to a point where it's kind of binary, but it just encourages you to find out more and more information about the game. It's
but
so
even then,
clever.
There are some points in the quests, or that I've done so far, where I've thought to myself, I kind of wish I could say, plead, I was just following orders. I kind of don't want to know that next step.
Yeah.
Because there have been so many times now where I'm like, well, the more I try and find out, the more I realize, that the fact that the final choice resides with me is terrible.
Yeah.
I should not be in charge of this. Yeah, I mean, you're being asked to do something, go and kill some guy because he's a real dick.
Yeah.
Or even, maybe not something even that drastic, go and steal these people's clothes because someone else needs it more and they've got plenty of clothes.
Right.
And you're like, all right, fine, so I'll go and steal that person's clothes. That seems innocuous enough.
Yeah.
But then you find out if you steal the clothes, that person's life is ruined because they were holding onto the clothes for somebody else, and, that other person's now going to kill their firstborn. And you're like, whoa, hang on. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did you know that? When you were giving me the quest? I didn't know that. No, I had no idea that was going to go on. But then you find out that the reason that the person's going to kill their firstborn is because their firstborn is prophesized to murder an entire village. Maybe that firstborn should have died. It gets deeper and deeper and deeper, and the stakes get higher and higher and more global each time you find out more about a quest, to the point where I'm like, I don't want to know anymore.
But
I don't even want to steal the clothes. Get someone else to steal the clothes. I can't deal with this. I want to go drink in the tavern.
Which you can totally do. It is. I just think that the quest system is incredibly robust. I think they've managed to nail kind of that balance between, getting you to do. There are certainly some quests which are kill this leech who's friggin' reanimating corpses and sending them to
and at that
murder
point you
people.
can think to yourself, you know what? This probably doesn't have any downsides that I don't know about.
Exactly. And then you rock up to his room and he doesn't try and talk to you, he just tries to kill you. And you breathe a big sigh of relief because you can just murder someone without having to worry about the repercussions.
Which, that's so good.
It's really great.
It's so good when you can just murder. Without having to think about the horrible repercussions of your murder.
Exactly. So we mentioned I suppose actually we should talk about some of the character classes because they've done...
Well, because they tie into the world really nicely. The world feels very different. It's not your standard sort of high fantasy fare. First of all, you've got the whole...
Fantasy.
Well, yeah, but it's
in
not
that
just
direction.
high fantasy,
It's
right?
in that quadrant.
Yeah. First of all, we've got the soul mechanic, right? So souls are a thing.
Yes.
So what they did was they actually started to say, well, what if there are classes based around the concept of manipulating and working with souls? And I think that's where the two most interesting classes come in, which are the Chanter and the Cipher. And I went to Chanter, and you went to Cipher. So that works well.
Yeah.
You also said that the Monk and the Barbarian were interesting, but I didn't necessarily see that.
Well, the Monk I found interesting, if not actively useful, because the monk, in order to use any of the monk's abilities, you have to be hit. Essentially, you have to get wounds with a capital W, which then you use the wounds as it's like a mana. It's like a resource that you spend to do skills, which sounds cool, and it's good if you do set up your monk to be more tanky and to try and aggro as many people as possible. But I find that if a mechanic requires your character to take damage, it's kind of counterintuitive. Like a lot of it, like you don't want to take damage. Like that's the point of the game. Like you really don't want to take the damage. And a lot of the time, I actually dropped because I created a monk, I should say. I didn't actually find anyone that was a monk that I could just use.
Which is another cool mechanic, which we'll get into.
Yeah, which is another cool... well, I mean, it's fairly basic. You can create characters if you want to. You don't have to wait for the story to give you a bunch of followers. You can just make them. And you can just
not that you can create characters. You can create NPCs, essentially, on the fly. You can just go to a tavern and hire a new NPC, and that NPC you can create from scratch. So it's like having an infinite number of secondary characters that you can bring along with you if you need to.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty cool. But I found that I was actually getting through whole battles where I hadn't been able to use any of the monk's abilities because she just didn't get hit. Like I couldn't get her to, like she wasn't doing enough damage to aggro things, and if I sent her in first to aggro a group, she would just get rained on. So I found it's an interesting take on the monk. Like I like that way of thinking that they have to like sacrifice themselves to be able to use abilities, but I just think that maybe it's been balanced out a little bit better. But when I first started the game, version 1.0, I think we're up to version 1.06 now, she was quite a bit weaker than a similar, like just a fighter.
I did find that the aggro system is complicated at best and frustrating at worst. There are lots of times where either I can't get people to not attack my wizard, or
really,
they just
you
go
just sit him at the back.
I do, and then they just charge right through my group and screw everything up.
Yeah. I should say that there's like a lot of other games in this kind of style require you to build characters very closely to their archetype.
You really do. And so
and
that's hard when
pretty
you've
much
got a
the
character
same,
like the Chanter, because you don't know what the archetype for a Chanter is.
Exactly.
Essentially, they're kind of like a bard, sort of, except the better way I think to describe it is more like if you've ever seen the later seasons of Stargate SG-1, they are essentially priors.
Explain that.
Did you ever watch... No? Never watched...
Of course I've watched
seasons
Stargate. I haven't watched that much of it, though.
8 to 10?
No.
So there are these priors that would come in, the teachers of the Ori, which is this new sort of race from another galaxy, another dimension, blah, blah, blah. But the point is that, like in Stargate, how you can have ascension, where your soul goes to a higher plane of existence, it turns out there are bad ascended beings, and they create these sort of monk, priesty sort of people that go around and just recite passages from this Book of Origins, which is like their Bible. And it's all done in parables, right? So it's all written in sort of poetic sort of prose. And they say things, and as they say, parable of, about Jason and the mountain, like they might get more powerful in one way, sort of thing, which is exactly how it works in this, right? The chanters have these chants that they're constantly talking, they're constantly saying, although there aren't that many chants in the game. I'm really sad that they didn't record the actual chants.
Yeah, I know.
Because all they do is they just say one word at the beginning and that's it, and then the combat just keeps going.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool if they actually did vocalize the chant the whole way through, because it's a really cool mechanic, as they're chanting and they're saying these things. This chant makes you faster, this chant makes you better able to dodge, this chant gives you more stamina, and then while they're chanting, they can wear full plate mail and wield a maul.
Yeah,
exactly. They can do whatever they want, essentially, and they're quite good at getting right in there. But I didn't know that to begin with, so my chanter at the beginning was wearing leather armor and hanging back with a bow, and that's really not what they're meant to be doing. So that got a little bit frustrating at times until I sort of realized how it was meant to be, and then I sort of had to change my character halfway through, but then, like, part of her backstory didn't work, and because I created a backstory for my character.
Of course.
Because I'm a nerd.
But yeah, the Chanter and the Cipher are both really, really interesting. The Chanter, I mean, mechanically, essentially, it's you just want to keep them alive for as long as possible so that they can use their higher level... Because not only as they complete chants do they kind of give you power-ups to your allies, but then they can actually cast spells based on those chants.
Yeah, so they charge up when they finish 3 parables.
Yeah,
It
they need
unlocks
to spend
a big spell.
Yeah. So I think one of them, the one that I use the most, is probably the summoning 3 or 4 skeletons.
Yeah, which is pretty handy.
Yeah, and so they can kind of jump into the fray. It's pretty cool. The Cipher is a really interesting one because that ties straight into the whole souls idea of the game. And they're essentially people who like can magically muck with people's souls. So all of their effects, all of their attacks, like they're quite wizardy, but again they need to attack in order to generate their mana or their type of
soul
mana.
manipulation stuff.
Yeah, so they use a soul whip, I think it's called. But it's not really it's not a whip. It's just it's kind of like an enchantment on a weapon, and that regenerates their mana. But yeah, all their stuff is like, you know, fearing enemies and like manipulating their souls so that you control them, or, you know, making them act in certain ways. So they're quite cool in terms of how they influence the battlefield to they can really swing things in your favor really, really quickly.
Yeah, they are really powerful if you line up, like, if you can get the right enemies in the right combination with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. I've had a very long day today. I played soccer in the rain for about an hour and a half, which was just great.
I did not do that. I did
Yeah.
the opposite of that. I cooked eggs.
I had eggs when I got home. That was good.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, so the rest of the classes are fairly stock standard. Like, you've got your fighter, who's kind of just someone that you want to chuck in the front and tank. You've got wizards that get, you know, a whole range of spells, different levels of spells that they can use per day. You got clerics that can heal, rangers that can shoot things. Is it rogue?
Druids that can turn into animals.
Yeah. Is it rogue or thief? I can't remember.
Rogue.
So standard rogue. I can't remember. Is that all of them? Monk, rogue, barbarian,
Paladin?
Is there a paladin?
Or is a priest? There's definitely priest.
Yeah,
because
that's cleric, isn't it?
No, cleric and priest are 2 different things.
I don't think they are.
Well, there's the priest of Magran.
Yeah, but
he's definitely a priest. No, he's a priest.
He's so not, though.
I'm gonna look it up. You're gonna be wrong.
Oh my god. We're both madly. Oh, you do it. He is a priest, but all his spells are cleric things.
God, my internet's so slow today. I hate this. Barbarian, Chanter, Cipher, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Priest, Ranger, Rogue, Wizard.
Oh, he's a cleric though. Come on, all his spells are exactly the same.
He's a goddamn priest, all right?
Okay, fine.
Because he wears a robe.
So?
Clerics wear heavy armor, Phil. You know this.
Yeah, okay. Fine.
You're better than that.
I'm better than this. Yeah, so the rest of the archetypes are relatively simple to get your head around. But they have, I think in each one, they've kind of given them a few interesting things. Like, I think the fighter, you know, focuses a lot on, like, tripping enemies and, you know, disabling them in that way.
Which is pretty cool. Like, I like that crowd control mechanic. In fact, most of the classes are fairly heavily based on crowd control. Like, there's a lot more crowd control in this game than you expect in most games of this type.
Yeah.
Even the wizard has a huge amount of crowd control spells, and the priest has almost no. Well, if you choose it, yeah. The priest has almost no direct damage spells. It's just about crowd control and healing, and even then, not much healing.
Yeah, really, not that much healing. It's kind of interesting. One criticism that I did have about the game, I know you said that the combat can be really, really complicated. One thing that I don't really like is how they've broken up the damage into different types.
That's very confusing. It took me so long to get my head around that.
I still don't have any friggin' idea how, like, whether or not I should be attacking a certain type of... Okay, we should explain. Each enemy has resistances to certain types of damage. So whether it's willpower, endurance... God, I can't remember the other types.
Something. Probably dexterity in there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. But they have resistance to certain types of attacks, basically. And all of your attacks roll on one of those 4 things.
Yeah.
And it'll tell you, like, if you've fought the same monster enough, like, the same enemy enough, when you click on them, it'll actually tell you what their resistances are. Even with the bare numbers, I have no idea if I should send my fighter to attack something, or if I should use my wizard, or, like, I really don't. So I just try and do the most damage to the most things at once, which seems to be working out for me so far. But they could have made that slightly more transparent, I think.
If you slather the battlefield thick with damage, like some horrible Vegemite, it works fairly well.
Yes,
but if you want to be very tactical about it, it's like you need at least an undergraduate course.
Yeah, it's can be a little bit obscure, and of course, whenever you get a new set of spells, and you have to learn each one of those to see which ones do good against different things. So it can be a little bit crappy, but
I like the idea that if you fight creatures more often, you know more about them. That was really cool to me, but it's actually it's not well advertised. Like when you actually learn more about it.
I knew about it. It's an experience thing. Like whenever you kill a monster, you get experience towards that monster.
Yeah.
And eventually, I'm relatively sure if you keep killing the same monster, eventually you don't get any experience from it because you've killed it so much.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going for there.
One thing I will say is that the game, it's a fantastic game, and it's top marks, thumbs up from me.
Yeah.
But it does have a terrible user interface. I don't know if they were going for the terrible user interfaces of days past.
The oldie Infinity engine.
But
they really wanted that part of the nostalgia.
It is really, truly terrible. I mean, the graphics also, it is a gorgeous game if what you appreciate and accept is that it is meant to look old. It looks very old, but it looks fantastic for it.
Yeah.
It's almost, I mean, it's not quite pixel art. It goes back to that sort of very low resolution sprites and models. It looks fantastic, but the user interface, my goodness.
Yeah.
It doesn't highlight anything that is important.
It needs a mod.
In fact, you know what? We could probably do an entire episode on user interfaces because so many games do them terribly, but some games, when they do them right, can really make an average game phenomenal.
That must be the worst suited topic to an audio podcast.
An audio podcast.
That I've ever heard. And here you see that. Oh wait. Yeah, that I love work. That wouldn't work. But yeah, so one last thing before we get. Generally speaking, it's got an amazing story. The classes are really, really cool. You're never going to be bored walking around in this world. One thing that I did put in there, which is the stronghold mechanic, is kind of interesting. Because this was a Kickstarter backer reward, and thus far it seems kind of like a double-edged sword to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I kind of wish they'd put an option in there to turn it off.
Or manage it entirely remotely without having to go back, ever.
Or differently, yeah, exactly. So, very early on in the game, actually, it's probably within the first 2 or 3 hours, depending on how much time you spend in the first village, you gain access to a stronghold, and that stronghold becomes kind of your base of operations. Unfortunately, it becomes your base of operations miles away from anything that you're ever going to do in the game.
Honestly, games need to stop doing base of operations mechanics unless you're going to focus the game around that base of operations.
Yeah.
So many games give you now you've got this awesome base that you can set up. Actually, you know what? The Van Helsing did it fairly well. Yeah. I thought in that respect, because you ended up playing those little tower defenses and things at your stronghold,
which were kind of shitty.
Well, I thought it was nifty. I thought it was a different take on a bizarre mechanic.
Yeah.
But in so many games, it's done like this, where it's miles away from where you're questing, especially because if you get it early in the game, then it's nowhere near where you are late in the game map-wise. You tend to spiral, either you spiral outwards or you go linearly across a map in these types of games.
Yeah.
And so if you put the stronghold here and now you're questing all the way over here, it doesn't work. You get frustrated having to go back to it. The other thing is, at the moment, there's no real reason to go back to the stronghold except for the paths of the endless underneath it.
Yeah, which are really good. We should mention that. So
it is really good. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, part of the Kickstarter kind of rewards was the fact that they were going to make this custom dungeon. This very, very deep. I think it's 15 or 16 levels deep custom dungeon. It's
deep.
Yeah, and it's it's classic dungeon crawling. It's really, really good. It's really well made for what it is, in that you are going down through these levels. There's all the tricks and interesting traps that you might have encountered playing Dungeons and Dragons, that kind of stuff.
Or your typical Baldur's Gate, or
Yeah, it's a real classic dungeon, and that really throws back really, really well to those initial games. I think that part of it, really well done. But there's also this other, like, kind of stronghold management thing where people will attack your stronghold and you need to upgrade it and all this kind of stuff. And it's very difficult to tell whether or not your stronghold is kind of upgraded enough, and whether or not you need to go and do more things to it. And then if you want to defend against people that are coming to attack your stronghold, you have to go back there to fight them.
Yeah.
Which is really annoying if you're, like, in the bottom left-hand corner of the map and the stronghold's in the top left, and you go to fast travel there and you literally can't. Like, you know, the invaders are going to be there in a week. Incidentally, they tell you when they're going to be there, which is really convenient. It's like making an appointment in Outlook or something like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, if it takes you 2 weeks to get back to the stronghold, and they're coming next week, like, you're not going to be able to deal with it manually, which is really, really frustrating. So that part of it, I feel like, I know we talked about it last episode in the mobile gaming. Like, that is the perfect opportunity for them to have made, like, just a dinky little mobile app that you could manage your stronghold without having to go in the game and actually muck around with it, because I think that's kind of a frustrating mechanic. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Like, it just takes away from the main quest. It's just one thing too many, I think.
It is a perfect mechanic for a tie-in game that would
Yeah.
talk online, or like a mobile phone game, or something that, you know, would work as a second screen game.
Yeah.
Which I'm a huge fan of as well. Like, the idea of second screen games, and they haven't really been done very well so far.
No.
The concept is phenomenal. I would love to see someone do it really well. Or at all well.
At all well. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's one other little thing that you can kind of muck around with in the game. I guess we should probably wrap it up there. So yeah, I mean, Pillars of Eternity, fantastic game. I think it's available for around about $40 or $50 in the Steam store now. It's gone down a bit since it first got released at about $80, I think. But many hours to be had. I think most people are hitting around about the 90 to 100 mark before they finish the game, you know, moderately completely. The real hardcore enthusiasts out there are probably going to take at least 150 to 200. So it's not a game that you want to...
Or the OCD among us.
Yes, exactly. It's not a game that you're going to run out of stuff too soon, but it's certainly worth the investment, I think. But yeah, before we go, though, I did just want to give a quick shout out to our old friend Stanyo Zhelev, who has also taken a bit of time off, or had taken a little bit of time off blogging and producing content, analysing pop culture and movies and games and all that kind of good stuff. But he's back. He has a Facebook page now, which is really cool. So you can hit him up on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Brailstrom. That's BRAELSTROM. And he's on Twitter at Stanyo Zhelev. STANYOZHELEV. So yeah, he's back on the reviewing bandwagon. I think he reviewed a bunch of games and movies recently, and he's got really good insights into what makes them tick. So check him out. But yeah, other than that, thanks for listening. How do we do this thing again? You can find us on the web at www.timandphill.com and on Facebook at facebook.com/timandphill. However, if you want to contact us directly, you can find Tim on Twitter at Dungeon Master, add him as a friend on Steam as Ageotas, that's AGEOTAS, or at his website, which is CorsairsAnchorage.com.
And you can find Phill on Twitter at ToothSoup. And he was a friend on Steam as Flaxer, which is FLAXEH. Or you can find him at his regular website, which is toothsoup.com. Thanks for listening.
And happy gaming. Just before the rain comes absolutely steaming down.